I would say me and Labman are a very solid bot lane. It's very hard for it's very rare for us to fall behind in lane, especially given the current circumstances that we're in the collegiate scene and we've had so much experience in the pro scene. So we know how to handle losing lanes, and if we're in a winning lane, we definitely know how to take advantage of that.
Hello and welcome back to the College Championship presented by State Farm. We're setting up for Game 2 of University of Maryland versus UC Irvine. We'll be hearing from ex-pro Bloodwater saying just smash them fools, left and right, no chance. That's what he said, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I've got to say, he's been right so far. They haven't really been falling behind when they do have advantages. They know how to really expand upon them to really extend those leads, and they have been looking really good. I mean, Game 1 is a perfect example, right? They get pressured early, they get first blooded because of a really nice gank, but they're the ones still taking the first turret. They're the ones still getting, kills and applying pressure in the 2v2. And it's so tough as a jungler. Wezzy here took 4 bans in pick ban, right? And then it's like you're trying to plug all these holes in a sinking ship. Top lane was getting slammed. Bottom lane is getting pressured despite the fact that you went down there early and got a kill. Your mid lane is more of kind of the supportive role and is falling down on farm. So it becomes very difficult for the jungler of UMD to know where to go because all of UCI's lanes were very strong and all of UCI's lanes were winning.
Well, we'll see if that trend continues or if Maryland shore up the early game or even just reinvest back into the late game. We saw the Kog'Maw Taric Karma comp yesterday. We'll see what they have in store as they've chosen blue side actually for this game.
Yeah, very interesting. I was actually talking to you about this, obviously. And I was kind of thinking that Maryland was going to go red side simply because Captain Nuke showed that he can slam Yang if he's given the counter pick, if he's given an advantageous matchup. Cho'Gath is disadvantageous into Gnar, but it's not supposed to look like it did in Game 1, right? Obviously, that got very, very out of hand. First pick Aurelia is going to be the choice, and this will be interesting to see if it is going to go to Yang or if it's going to go to White. I'm assuming it will go to White, as Yang said. He's more of like a fill in his top lane and generally, trying to play things to actually just go even in lane, and Aurelia is not the champ to do that. But I'm very curious where Yang will go. Will he go back to something kind of crazy like his Nunu or Tonkench or whatever? Or is he going to try to play something more standard again like Cho'Gath and just hope that he's able to perform a bit better and not fall behind?
Yeah, well, pretty much all the same bans except for Swain, changing for, I assume, Aurelia, because Maryland are going to take it as their first pick in this one. Rakan, once again, I think Trundle's the obvious pick, but UCI is certainly considering the different options. Youngbin looked great on the champion. It's excellent in the metagame, still one of the strongest junglers, so pretty straightforward stuff here.
Yeah, and for UC Irvine, there's no real reason to change it, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Until Maryland shows that they know how to deal with this strategy, that they can actually force you off this and get advantages elsewhere, there's no need to really change anything about it. Their 4 bans towards Wezzy looked pretty effective the first time around. The Jarvan did find some really good engages in combination with that Taric, but it's going to be Kai'Sa in the bot lane, so more of a hyper carry style champion. Weaker laning phase certainly, but someone who really can scale up and take over. And this does kind of lend itself more towards the style of draft that we heard some of the guys on the desk talking about, where you would get more of a protection comp for him if you wanted to go back to something like the tank tops from Yang.
Yep, well there's Kai'Sa and Morgana, so taking that one, not away I guess, because Rakan's already picked up, but certainly a good champion, can help against some of the Rakan engages.
Yeah.
Decent in lane, and of course can be flex, as Maryland have already shown, but looks like Descaradon is continuing his trend of strong scaling mid laners, taking Cassio this time into the presumed Aurelia matchup.
Yeah, definitely assuming it's going to be the Aurelia, and matchups like that can be very, very snowbally, simply because when you're playing a champion like Aurelia into a Cassio, you don't really get to play that passively. If you're playing pretty passively, the Cassio can really just kind of poke you off and really start to whittle you down. So it ends up often being, can the Aurelia all in the Cassio? And if she can, she gets ahead and she can continually all in the Cassio. If she doesn't, you just start getting so enough farm, you start getting pushed in, poked out, and it can start to look pretty rough for the Aurelia.
Interesting ban on the Karma, I guess, again, with some of the flexibility. Taric and Karma still options here.
Yeah,
Morgana not necessarily being support.
Exactly. It could still be Morgana top, right? You wouldn't really be saying that normally, but Yang did show it yesterday. And certainly the possibility is there, so they are trying to respect that.
So with Ezreal being banned away, Maryland, again, considering their next few options. Zaya going to get banned away, so I like, again, kind of targeting Latman a little bit here, but what's the counter pick to Morgana top? Because they would have had at least a day to think about this.
Well, I mean, honestly, like, the whole thing with what Wang Yang was playing it is because he's trying to neutralize the lane, as he said, right? And I think that Morgana, if you're really willing to just play extremely safe and just kind of do that, you can get away with it. You can get away with that into most matchups. That being said, I think that a champion like Fiora could exploit it, because I would generally say if someone's trying to neutralize the lane, then you want to play hyper carry into that. You want to play someone who's scaling, because great, we're neutralizing the lane. Well, I'm going to outscale you. I'm going to have more of an advantage. That being said, in the game yesterday, Epic wasn't really able to kind of capitalize on any farm he was able to get in the lane, and you don't have to do that style, but you certainly can.
Yeah, well, there's Lucian actually for Latman, so I quite like this. A bit more aggressive there in the bot lane. And Maryland now going to round out their draft. We'll discover where Morgana is going in a few moments. Where's he back to Olaf here for this game?
Yeah, less bans targeted him in this game, and is going to be able to pick up the Olaf. So I talked about this a little bit in Pick a Man last time. Olaf definitely has the early pressure advantage over a Trundle, but once you're getting into the later stages of the game, Trundle ultimate plus the pillar onto him, just actually blocking him out of team fights and slowing him down can be really, really tough. It's almost an impossible matchup to win even in the 1v1 dueling past a certain point, because Trundle simply with Red Smite and ultimate just plus the Chomp taking AD off your kit makes it very, very hard to duel.
Interesting to see Yang actually taking Na this time around. So playing pick Na, given the way the draft is shaken out so far.
And they have the Aurelia, which was always kind of the classic counter pick. I'd love to see a Yasuo. I don't know if Captain Nuke actually plays it, but that is another pick that a lot of people do enjoy into it. Camille can certainly work here if you want to play aggressively as well, and that will be the choice. And if you're thinking that Yang is able to be exploited, well, you can actually go up there with the Trundle. The ultimatum from Camille locking down that Gnar can be pretty difficult to escape, especially when you are in mini-R.
Kind of one other thing to think about is when we've seen kind of a lot more Aurelia mid, especially in this tournament, you always worry that your damage profile is going to be a little bit kooky, but Kai'Sa does have some options in the damage department.
Kai'Sa certainly can build AP, and I believe this patch is actually after some of those buffs. We had seen, especially on live, a lot of people are going AP Kai'Sa. It's similar to the Varus build. People are going just simply Rage Blade into Nashers and these sorts of things with Death Cap as a third item. And that can be very, very strong. We saw an AP Varus, at least the beginnings of an AP Varus, come out yesterday, but he got put so far behind, he never really got to get that going. So might get to see that debuted here from Alrighty, and if that's the case, you do reach that W and E evolve, and that's kind of where you go with that. You don't really get enough AD to actually evolve your Q, but the damage is actually very, very high. Not only in the poke, but your actual consistent DPS is pretty surprising. Yeah,
we'll have to see though. Maryland again have been full of surprises, but another kind of standard setup on both sides here. I think teams will be happy with where they've landed. I think, again, it's interesting to think about red side versus blue side drafting tendencies for these teams, even though we've only seen 2 drafts through now. But Maryland are clearly valuing their first pick. Last game it was Ezreal. Alrighty, did have quite a good game with the protection he had, but definitely transferring some of that power here to White in mid lane. And he will need to perform pretty well on this Aurelia to kind of get the game going for Maryland.
Yep, and you can see Descarton kind of giving respect over to that. The all-in potential is going to take exhaust, and any failed all-in into a phase rush Cassio is very, very dangerous, because the phase rush procs, and Cassio can chase you down, kite you out, and really get some big advantages there. And we've seen how big Descarton has been for the team. So really a lot is riding on White in this game to have a strong laning phase, to have a good performance, for him to really be able to be relevant come the later stages.
See if Wesley also can be a bit more aggressive on the Olaf. Certainly expecting a lot of action, but Youngbin has been very intelligent in how he's moving around the map on this Trundle. So Wesley, he's going to check things out. Checks that brush with an axe. Doesn't see anyone. Now sees Youngbin though, and might even fancy a ward. Yep, does go ward the red, but Youngbin just getting an invade ward just in case there's any sort of shenanigans to come from UMD.
Yeah, just trying to get a little bit of information, and both junglers looking like they will just start blue. And both of them will know that. The bottom lane is also potential to be pretty explosive here with these 2 range supports. If Bloodwater can actually find the engage, and the Black Shield's not there from Quirk, there's certainly pretty heavy all-in potential. Latman on this solution, that can be a very, very aggressive lane pick, but at the same time, if you can catch someone with a binding, these are some pretty squishy players here on the other side. And this is a coin start for the Rakan. He's going to be pretty squishy. Latman is going Doran Shield, trying to give a little bit more respect over to that all-in, but it's interesting to see where they do go with this.
Yep,
double ignite.
Opposite side jungle starts as well, so bot lane from UCI gets here a touch late. nuke early to his lane in top side instead. So once again, UMD have the early push. Nice Q from Bloodwater though, does find the target.
Yeah, and he may want to play this lane a bit more passively. You know, seeing him not go Spell Thieves, which is kind of the more aggressive option for Rakan, who can have a pretty powerful laning phase at times. If you are just saying, hey, I can't get hit by a binding, I need to stay back, well, Coin is pretty damn good at that.
See White there. Again, probably the early levels not going to feel too crash hot. At level 2-ish, level 3 really can certainly, if he finds the stuns, get something going. Yang getting aggressive early on Captain Nuke as well, but nice sweep actually. Going to land the Comet as well, so much more aggressive Keystone here as well for Nuke's Camille. Looking to again try and bully that matchup where Yang definitely maybe try to neutralize a little bit more with the fleet footwork.
Yeah, and Captain Nuke here, you know, with the passive there on Camille, the adaptive defenses, you get that physical damage shield and you're able to trade so effectively. It is pretty powerful. That in combination with just hitting attack sweep into Comet is going to give you some really nice trades. We'll see how aggressively he wants to play this though. And Yang, it's pretty standard to see fleet footwork. That is what we saw Captain Nuke running last time. Especially since the changes, you know, it's quite a few patches ago now that changed around minion aggro when your minions kind of are more responsive to that harassment. And even when you're harassing a melee champion, you sometimes take actually quite a bit of poke. But they're trying to set up for a dive here on the top side, which would be risky. But I mean, if they can pull it off, that is going to put him insanely behind.
Youngben's level 4, so he's actually pretty strong on this Trundle. Good hop. Oh no! Interrupted, I think, by the hook shot. And the first blood does go to top lane.
Oh, that's brutal for Yang. He even expended the flash, and no summoners had to be used here from Nuke and Youngbin. They crash the wave, they get him pretty low, and that was beautiful. I believe that was actually just the hook shot. I think Nuke basically just hooked to the turret and just waited for Yang to actually go, and then is able to interrupt him out of that. We'll see this one more time. I'm pretty sure this is what it is. Youngbin gonna take aggro, and yet Nuke basically just hooks to the turret before the jump that is he knows is coming, and that is just beautifully done.
And then the flash after, and then immediately you die. It's always a tragedy, but unfortunately, Nuke versus Yang is starting off on a similar foot, which is good news for University of California, Irvine. Back in the bot side though, looks like just some farm action. Again, kind of more passive, like I think you predicted. But we'll see if where Wezzy goes, I suppose, for his first bit of pressure. Was up bot lane for quite a lot of the last game, but probably going to change that up here. And maybe even goes to top lane now to try and salvage some of the problems that Yang could run into as this lane continues.
It's definitely possible, but it's hard to actually pull off any gank onto the Camille with lane in this position, right? Like, unless you're going to try to dive as well. I mean, Camille still has flash and does have hook shot, so you can move up to the top side of the map. You can kind of give a little bit of protection. Now that the wave is going to crash, it will bounce and push back, and then Camille perhaps will be a bit more vulnerable. But by that time, Olaf is probably going to be elsewhere on the map because he's already cleared his Gromp. He's going to the Wolves, and he'll have to head bot side.
Yep, let's have early boots there. So Predator now ready for the Olaf. We'll see if he makes use of that anytime soon. Youngbin, though, is just happily farming away. Successful dive already. Again, his string of really intelligent decisions continues here in the tournament.
And you can see they had a nice ward over on his Wolves, so they did actually spot Youngbin farming that out, and there was a ping over onto the Gromp, knowing that he's there, and it made it look funny that it's actually a blue ward that wasn't actually there, it expired, so Youngbin didn't actually see it, didn't know he spotted until, well, he did know.
All right.
There, they pinged it.
All right, so he knows. We'll get it in just a second. We'll be checking with the mid lane. White not really been able to get too much going early on. Desperate, to his credit, doing a nice job dodging a lot of the early stun attempts there by Aurelia. So again, UCI kind of sitting back. We've seen this from them before. They're happy to play more passive laning phase if they need to, and they generally open up advantages together more than anything else and snowball through the mid game.
And they're just such a smart team about how they actually play the map, how they actually play this out. Desperate doesn't need to really make anything happen. He just needs to farm, keep kind of even, and if Aurelia does not establish an advantage, it just gets so difficult for her.
Ooh, good smite. Gets himself some health back early and does manage to solo down the Drake. So good control there from UMD. Pick up that first objective.
Yeah, grabbing the early Mountain Dragon is not too bad whatsoever. That being said, you need to be able to actually, win some lanes, get to the objectives to be able to convert on it. Mountain Dragon is never one of my favorites early. It can pay dividends later if you're winning, but it's kind of one of the win more dragons to me oftentimes, unless you can do something like sneak a Baron when you're behind.
Ooh, good slam actually, but not in turret range.
They're going to dive him now too because they still have the ultimatum. Trundle is behind, and has level 6. There's still no flash on Yang. As long as they do this right, this is basically unavoidable.
He's going now. Yang again, going to kind of get baited through. Doesn't go too far forward, but Nuke again, still buying some time. They're waiting for the wave,
Youngman just needs to run through the turret.
Yeah.
This is fine. You can just run up through the turret. He's really hesitating, and
the wave's in now, but now Yang knows. Youngbin again going to activate the ultimate. Yang does get the hop over. Nuke, oh, doesn't matter. Youngbin with the pillar, able to get the kill.
Yeah, this is nothing really for Yang to do there. No one was coming to help, and he played that about as well as he could. You can't actually try to escape through the trundle, so you have to go forward. You have to be aggressive towards the Camille, but when you can't win that either, you're very limited on options, and the game plan becoming pretty clear here for UCI. Play through top, a snowball nuke on this Camille, and that makes a lot of sense with why you're seeing Bloodwater start coin. If your jungler's going to be playing to the top side of the map, you're going to be playing passively, and you're just trying to scale down there. Start coin, play safe, just wait to win on the top side.
Yeah, and any lane getting ganked always feels bad, but the first gank on top lane is not great. The second one's really bad, because as soon as you use that TP to get back to lane and don't have it, you start losing minions as they crash into the wave, and all sorts of bad stuff happens to you.
It's also so depressing when you die at your turret, not only because you lose the minions, but because it means it's stacking and pushing to your opponents. So you're getting set up for another gank already, and that's what happens, because you have to now shove it and crash it on your opponent's turret, or he will freeze, right? And because he is not in a position where he's strong enough to do that, he either gives up a freeze and gives us some minions, or he exposes himself for the gank, so he knows the gank could be there and he's trying to play it safe, but Nuke just holds the wave, and Yang has to come up and push it in, and now he's dead again.
Yeah, and the ulti was not used last time, so now going to dive in onto Yang. He's got his flash, but he can't get out. Maybe finally escapes the pillar, not quite there, but the flash Q from Youngbin is going to try and take down the rest of it. Hookshot again comes back up, and Nuke, his second kill in the lane.
I mean, this is just the solo queue classic that can happen to you sometimes. Every top laner has had this happen to them from time to time. If you are not getting help from your jungler, there is almost nothing you can do except give up everything. Really, you know, you could say the mistake was kind of perhaps getting dove the first time, you know, not managing the wave, whatever. But from that, there's no really avoiding this. The only way you can avoid that is by allowing the freeze to happen, which just means you fall even more behind in experience, even more behind in gold, and that becomes very, very difficult unless you're winning elsewhere. And UMD is not winning elsewhere, so it's getting rough. You know, they're going to have to make some plays. They're going to have to make something happen elsewhere because they're going to lose top, and they're going to lose top very hard.
Yeah, at this point, top is lost. I think it's safe to say UCI built themselves almost a 2,000 gold advantage pretty much just off that side of the map, or that lane even. Whereas he, again, is trying to be a bit more active. He's got his jungle and chat now finished. I wonder if Yang thinks he's getting dove again. It might not matter, actually. Nuke's pretty strong in the 1v1. No Triforce just yet, but the Sheen trades are nice.
Yeah, they definitely are. And he doesn't even have to do anything too crazy. He can just kind of poke him out. Wezzy now making his way down bot, but that is already warded out. And Descraton looking for white.
Youngbin with a good pillar. TP in. Great ult there actually from the Aurelia, but gets exhausted.
Oh,
That's what minion, but Yang, he's there. Now going to move in for the scoop, but Nuke, oh, he found his prey again. Flashes after it, going to turn it back around. Does get stunned by Aurelia, but stays out of turret range. Wezzy now here to try and run back in. They're going to go in for the Casio. They should be able to claim it. Wezzy finally gets a kill on the board.
Yeah, nice job there from White, really outplaying Descraton. Dodges out on the ultimate, and that keeps him alive, allows Wezzy to come in and get a kill, but bot lane is kind of being sacrificed for this. Latman just stayed bot, so they do get a kill mid, but so much turret damage is actually going down there. And, yeah, he's evasive.
Nice work from White there. Knew the minions are in a good spot, so he's able to safely dash back around and get them all before he goes back to base. Turret, though, as you mentioned, is low. Latman's been laying into it with his BF sword and a couple of double taps. Wezzy trying to trade on the top side instead, does get the Rift Herald.
Yeah, I do really like that from Wezzy. You know, they get a kill mid, they know they have priority around there, so turning that into a Rift Herald is a way to get some gold back, and here's the play once more. White decides he wants to go in. Young been spotted on the ward, so it's a full retreat, but the TP coming in, he tries to go on a Descraton, and this W, avoiding so much damage and then dodging out on Descraton's ultimate. Whole team comes in. Captain Nuke diving forward there, expending the flash and the TP, and they're so far in. They know there's no way out for Descraton, so we just hold on the flash, and that is the right choice.
Yeah, Quirk also up there as well, but no secondary kill for UMD, so UCI do well to cut their losses. Still the advantage up about the same, sitting in around 2,000 gold, and Drake 2 is up in about 35 seconds. See if the team's doing a play for Mountain number 2.
Yeah, we'll see if UCI is going to go for it. You know, don't have teleport, but neither does Yang, and you can see Captain Nuke is just kind of cheating down a little bit, perhaps just getting some deep vision, but you know, with bot lane pushing, Latman's going back, he's got his Essence Reaver already, so he's at a very strong point on that one item. Alright, he's going to be pretty far away from that.
Ooh, Descadon trying to slow him down. I think maybe got enough, but now going to move in with the ulti. Bloodwater here as well, knocking White around. Nice dive from UCI, gets their mid laner a kill.
Yeah, nicely done. They're just moving around the map so incredibly well as a team, and no way out really there from White, so taking that top lane advantage, extending it down to the mid lane, and that means Nuke is here now for any potential dragon. They can start that up. They have item advantage, they have numbers advantage, and this should just be a UCI dragon.
Yeah, Bloodwater actually looking for a knockup, but doesn't find the Olaf. 2 levels down, so it takes a lot of damage actually. UCI now started up the Drake, but White is back, no TP. See if he can run there in time. UMD might actually fancy a fight here.
I'm actually really surprised UCI is running. Aurelia, they know just respawn. Latman is already on a full completed ice. Kaisa doesn't really have anything, and Pop and Jungler are much stronger.
Ooh, Binding finds the Cassio. Yep, goes in, time for the Ragnarok charge up. They're still a little low. Yang looks
Nice
for the scoop,
mega.
finds 2, finds a follow-up of Bloodwater again, ties up 3 in the back line. Descadon able to kill Yang, he's just not that tanky. And UCI with a long con, find the kill and they'll get the Drake as well.
Yeah, at the end of the day, they get the kill before White gets there anyway. You know, UMD perhaps pulling the trigger a little bit too early. They're going to try to trade back with a turret. They probably can actually get this one. Riptid's going to do a lot of damage to his 3 members there. UCI trying to respond, but see if they're in time.
Still 2v3, make it 3v3 as Bloodwater going to move back in. The Binding lands, the Herald down. Successful defense there.
Yeah, nicely done from UCI. They should be able to pick that up later, though. At the same time, you know, first turret was actually stopped there from UCI. Now that means Latman gets a solo first turret bottom. So really critical, actually, that UCI was able to prevent that and get all that bonus gold onto their AD carry, who has been performing so well.
Yeah, Latman kind of just slowly picking up farm, but watch this exchange again.
Yeah, they're going in on Descadon. They hit him with the binding, and it did kind of chunk him out there, but heal, flash is available. The Latman using that heal on him, and he just flashes out. And from that point, they kind of got a little bit baited. They got a little bit excited, because it was still a 4v5, and you are down gold. They got Descadon low, and we're thinking, hey, if we instantly kill him, we can maybe win this fight, but wasn't meant to be.
Not at least that time, as Latman using that gold he just got after all of that play. Pick up his first completed item. Essence Reaver now done, holding about 1,000 gold ahead of his lane opponent right now, as UCI will swap up to the top side to try and take down yet another turret.
Yeah, it's interesting to see Latman, you know, he is going for the Essence Reaver. He's going to be going for that more standard, well, less standard, I should say, crit build. A lot of times when you were seeing Lucian, you know, on this patch, it was still kind of Blade of Rune King, Black Cleaver, that sort of stuff. But this is a better scaling build, and because they were playing it pretty passively early anyway, I think it makes a lot of sense. And is going to give him a lot more damage in the later stages to actually be able to deal with those things.
Yeah, you can see actually playing pretty aggressive. Youngbin coming up is signaling why. UCI again trying to really force onto this objective. They already know that Nuke with a Trinity Force not quite there, but a Fade Machine and a Tiamat, meaning he should still hold an advantage in the 1v1. White getting it chased down, peel it away. Good stun though. Descadon gonna get jumped up by the Olaf, but they're dancing around. White able to get the counter kill. Now they're TPing in to try and get in onto Youngbin. Where's he trying to force the flash away? Yang actually going to get some gold here as he TPs in for the next kill.
Yeah, they actually gave the kill to Yang there, but White and Wezzy just charge in and just run down Descadon, just bursting him out. And he may need to go for something like a Zhonya's pretty early on, and I think that may be what he's doing now with that stopwatch, because there is a lot of dive between the Gnar, you know, the Kaisa even can dive in, as well as the Aurelia Olaf. Like, that is pretty scary engage, and definitely needs to be able to kind of survive those early moments of the fight.
Yep, UMD doing a good job again, picking up gold where they can. We'll watch this play again. It started as a gank that looked good, and it ended very poorly.
Yeah, just a really good counter gank, honestly, here from Wezzy. He's in position. Youngbin and Descadon think they've caught White out, but that's something that you should be able to read, honestly. Anytime a mid laner is not running to his turret and is then running straight to the other side of the bush, that's almost always means, hey, the jungler is there or support is roaming up. Like, someone is usually there to defend. Perhaps they were expecting and just thought they would win anyway, but Descadon gets crushed down, and Youngbin, as a full tank Trundle, doesn't have enough damage to actually finish anyone off.
Protective Bloodwater does find a support and cancel it back. Nice blind Q, and as a result, bit of extra pressure. Turret's going to fall, though maybe not, as White roams up to try and pressure into the top side of the map. UCI got close to taking another turret, but not just yet, at least.
Not just yet. Descraton does actually get his Seraph's transform, so he's going to have that shield in addition to the exhaust now and a stopwatch, so will get a lot harder to take down. And pressure just kind of continuing across the map. This is a much closer game than last time. Yes, Captain Nuke is quite a bit ahead, but it's at least has not gotten as out of control as it did in game number 1.
Yeah, items starting to get completed as well. Black Cleaver for the Nut in topside. Trinity Forces for White and Nuke on their champions, and the Rage Blade now done to match that first item buy there for the Lucian. So certainly the game does feel relatively stable. UCI still holding a comfy lead of about 2,500 gold, but again, both teams have been pretty happy to play patiently through most of their mid games, and for now it's just UCI wanting to continue the very clean snowball they've shown off all tournament long as they do take the top outer turret.
Yeah, and I think UCI really has just kind of been a superior team at playing the map. We saw in game number 1, even from a disadvantage, UMD can team fight, and they can team fight very, very well. So we'll have to find out if they're going to be able to kind of find those opportunities, if they're going to be able to get in and really look for one of those fights, because they are within striking distance. And this gold lead is not insurmountable by any means. One big team fight into a turret or two, and you're kind of right tied up.
Yang, though, still giving respect here in the top lane matchup that's now moved down to the bot side of the map. And as expected, UCI's dual lane will move to mid and try and take that turret down to fill the outer ring. Next objectives are spawning in 40 seconds or so, and Baron will be up for the first time in a minute 15. But not expecting too many fireworks for now. The team is collecting their farm and just trying to find a bit more space and a bit more farm to work with.
And for UCI, I think it probably does favor them playing that more slow game. I think having the Trundle, having the Cassio, like the late game team fighting is so incredibly strong with those champions. That being said, Kai'Sa is kind of a bit of an X factor. I think Kai'Sa certainly outscales the Lucian and can be incredibly strong if protected. And while there isn't like a traditional protection comp, you might see a fight here.
Yeah, White gets ulti. Young gonna try for the pillar, but again,
Goes
Wesley backing onto Descraton, but he's so squishy. Bloodwater actually gets credit for the kill. White with the ulti already. Quirk flashes in, gets the stopwatch. Ulti finds a couple, but it's not enough as Bloodwater finds himself with a double kill.
Some supportable combat there from Bloodwater, picking up a couple kills. 2 for 0 though for UCI, as stopwatch coming in handy for Descraton already, and they're just gonna move it over to the Dragon, try to take another neutral objective here.
Young Bin got some solo time on the objective, should be fine, especially with a mountain, plus just being Trundle actually has nuke there as well, excuse me. So, prepare to take down almost any objective. UCI just take their kills, take their objective, and back to mid lane you have to think to try and knock down that turret.
Yeah, certainly the case. They do have White splitting up in the top though, so may want to send Nuke or someone up there to answer, and here's the fight one more time. Quirk looking with the binding. The team is collapsing pretty quickly, but UCI is essentially all already here. Their 5th member, Captain Nuke, is first to the fight of the top laners, and Wesy, very, very squishy, just gets absolutely burst down. Despite the fact that this was a really nice Morgana ultimate, the team was already kind of in full retreat. The jungler was already down. The top laner was not there. Had everyone been there when Quirk got that ultimate, it could have meant a turn in the fight, but not able to get much.
Descraton also dodging that binding, which I missed the first time around. Fancy feet in this lane, it's felt like, which is always a property you want from a Cassio, because when you get caught, you tend to die pretty quickly.
Yep, and with the phase rush, if you are really good at juking out, it becomes even easier for you. Once you proc that, it becomes so hard to actually catch this guy. You hit a Q, you get the bonus move speed, you get that proc of phase rush, and you can't really be slowed down, you can't really be caught up to. Allows you to kite out and chase down very easily, especially now in combination with the Rylai's, which is going to be, I think, a really, really good buy against a team like this that is kind of, more of a binary kind of dive in, chase you down type team. Yeah,
pretty short ranged as well, so like the purchase, certainly, there from Descraton. UCI still holding a pretty nice gold lead, sitting around 400 to 4,500 gold. And again, fishing with pillar, but nothing caught this time around. Already in Quirk just defending the mid lane turret for as long as they can, but of course with Baron now on the menu for these two teams. UCI are going to move their vision over to that side, and actually mid laners have swapped up as well. White's been split pushing for a couple minutes now, but Descraton's gone up to match.
Yeah, I could see fairly defensive builds too, for UCI in a number of the slots. Ryla is giving you, the slow as well as some kind of self-heal and some more HP there. You can see that it's a PD for Latman instead of a more aggressive Shiv or something to kind of help him against that dive also. And, the early Knight's Vow has been purchased up from Youngbin. It looks like it's going to be probably a lock-in here from Bloodwater. So they just know they need to survive kind of the initial dive in, the initial attack from UMD, and then the team fight is probably over. Because when Aurelia and Olaf and everyone charges in, if they're not killing someone off really, really fast, I mean, we saw how fast Wezzy dies.
Also note that Nuke is still a nuisance here with a big CS lead in the matchup. Trinity Force has now been finished, so Camille starting to scale right the way through this mid game, and with enough pressure here in mid right now, they're going to get some pot shots onto the turret at least, but Wezzy back in, gets pillared. That feels bad, man.
Yeah, and this is why Trundle is so damn annoying for an Olaf. Yes, Wezzy can be more effective in the early stages of the game, but in the later stages, Olaf just tries to run straight in. Either you pillar the Olaf out, or you actually pillar behind the Olaf so his teammates can't join him, and then you ult him and you just kill him.
And here comes the gank. Yang with the setup. Pretty much a solo effort there for Nuke, but Young in there for a bit of moral support.
Drops the ult, and that's a kill on the bottom side, and because they're trying to go down and support him, that means the mid lane turret is going to get cracked as well.
Oh no, maybe some extra here. Ragnarok burnt. Flash also used by Wezzy.
He gets out, but it's a heavy price to pay. Spending the Ragnarok, spending the flash to get out of there means there's even less chance of being able to find that engage. It means the slow kind of whittle you down style that UCI loves to play is going to continue even more easily.
And again, they back off. They take all the money that they just got and continue to slowly but surely extend this gold lead up to about 6,000 gold now. And it starts to feel like things are breaking apart a little, but Nuke really played this quite well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice dodge there from Yang, but he's so down in items. And look at the Trundle, how much damage that does in combination with that third hit from Nuke and then moving back up into the jungle. They're waiting for Wezzy to come up, and Wezzy obliges. And that's going to mean he has to blow the Ragnarok, has to blow the Flash, so they get a kill, they get the Summoner, and the ultimate down. Good things happening.
That's what I was waiting to see from Captain Nuke. What was the next item here? Had the team out early on, just gonna get through the lane and help with the farm, but it is Ravenous Hydra, so certainly signaling some side lane action.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if you're gonna go Blade the Rune King on Gnar, I think you're gonna go Ravenous Hydra on the Camille, and this is a very clear game plan that they obviously have. They believe in Nuke's skill in this 1v1 and know that he can snowball a game if they put him ahead. We saw the interview yesterday from UMD. Yang was saying, hey, he's more kind of build into top and mostly just trying to play to stabilize lanes, and that's why he was going these tanks and these kind of oddball picks. It's very difficult to be able to stabilize a lane against a great carry player.
Oh, Nuke is locked down alrighty. Kai's trying to dodge out of the way with the supercharger, but no chance at all. The ult there from Aurelia, Vanguard's Edge, trying to again get something back, but now the flank also going to get stopped as Wezzy not going to get knocked off, but is going to be stopped here by Desperaton. UCI find 2 kills as Carry's going down.
And that's probably Baron, unless Youngbin actually dies here.
Ooh, Flash is good, the ult's great from the Casio, and now Bloodwater trying to zoom in, Charms too. There's Nuke unstoppable as he takes down the Aurelia. Make it 3 as they go straight to the Baron.
Yeah, and I think Youngbin should just stay around. I mean, you have Bloodwater on the Rakan to heal you up. You can actually proc your Q off of the Baron, which is really, really strong for that AoE healing. You see him shielding them up. And Casio just slays Baron, plus you have carry top and a very strong Lucian. It's going to be theirs very, very quickly.
And as soon as the Baron dies, you get about a bajillion health. Squad's
good.
out as they Baron recall back to base, and Nuke now starting to extend this lead into other lanes.
Yep, he finds the flank onto Alrighty, rejecting the ultimate there from Kai'Sa. A lot of people don't actually realize the Kai'Sa ultimate is not a teleport. It is just a very fast dash, essentially, is how it is coded. So you can actually get bound out of it by a Lux, interrupted by a Camille. No matter what it is, if the timing is there, that can be stopped. And we saw how good Captain Nuke was on the interrupt on Yang. Gets another there in the mid lane.
Yeah, and Yang also in a spot of bother.
Peace.
Whee! Hook shot around, didn't even use the Trundle Pillar for the style points, and level 16 as the ult's going to come back off cooldown. UCI straight to Drake as well for a bit of extra credit.
Yep, they're going to get the Drake, and UMD doing what they can. They're pushing out the waves. They know their top laner is dead to rights, so they're going to shove the waves, try to delay the Baron push, but Nuke will be pushing in with Baron minions in the bottom lane, and you can see the rest of UCI is kind of grouping around that. They have minion waves going to be coming in the mid lane, coming in the bot lane, and and they can really go wherever they want because with this Baron buff, the minions are going to be so powerful, and they're already so incredibly strong.
Well, Nuke is going to bot tier 2. Make short work of that with a bit of help from Youngbin just to pressure things forward. Mid also the next point of pressure. UCI will try and squeeze down.
I mean, Nuke should just keep pushing. There's no reason to actually join up. If they're going to leave everyone mid, you just keep pressuring on this turret. They have Trundle to actually disengage any potential collapse with a pillar, so he's just in there. The turret's already dead.
Yep, stun again. Oh, now has to get out of something else. Ultimatum flash, very nice.
Nicely done. Escapes, gets a couple turrets, and Desperton was pushing mid, so they got that turret as well. And now, if you're UCI, just set 5 bot.
Yang with a slam, gonna try and start something off. Bloodwater pops the ulti, runs away, but now back in. Gets the cover. The knockup is great, but still the Vanguard's edge comes through. Where's he actually slays? As the kills come out, but it's a trade. Yang down as well. 1 for 1. Fight continues. Lightman in, gets aggressive, flashes through. Cassio grabbing the double. Everyone's taking the kills away from Lucian, but that's enough. 4 dead on the side of UMD, and the bases are going to be shattered.
Yeah, and that'll be all she wrote for game number 2. UCI crack it open off that fight. A fantastic re-engage from Bloodwater. It's actually the surrender.
Yeah, UMD know exactly what the writing looks like on the wall. 2-0 up now for UCI. And the games feel like they're just getting a bit faster.
Yeah. They are looking very, very good now from UCI. Full control, very clear game plan. But not much you can really do about it when they're executing it this damn well. It's very, very difficult for UMD to really respond. You can look to top lane and say, okay, well, Yang, he shouldn't be getting this far behind. But this time, it was honestly such a hard camp from Youngbin in a matchup that can really snowball against you. So on his own, there's not much he can do. And you can say, okay, well, Wezzy should be up there helping him. But at the same time, well, you picked Aurelia mid that you kind of need to play aggressively around and try to get that going. It gets really hard, right?
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, yes, top lane is in a huge amount of trouble, but it's not like the other two sides of the map are doing much better. Yeah. Like, UCI, yes, they're clearly able to play to their top laner and kind of get counterpick and play that way. But also the rest of the players are really good. Bot lane neutralize well. Desperton dodged basically every Aurelia stun. And at that point, like, what do you do? Just concede that maybe today they're the better team.
Yeah, and that's really how it's feeling to me, is that UMD is just looking a little bit outclassed, right? UCI coming in as one of the favorites this tournament, to me, have been by far the standout team. They have looked so damn clean. And if I'm Maryland going into, what could potentially be the final game of the series, pick winning lanes, play to comfort, and play aggressively, because I don't think you can beat this team if you play passively. I don't think they're going to really let you. They're just playing the map so much better than everyone else in the tournament.
Well, if you remember what happened last time, they were pushed to the brink, and we had some fireworks. Irvine have brought the series to match point, and hear how they picked up game 2. Let's send it back to the analyst desk.
Thank you very much. Yes, 2-0 in this best of 5 for UCI. The expectation was that they were the stronger team. It certainly looks like that right here. You can see the champ select in just a second right there. Top lane counter pick. We talked about that being potentially a weak point for UMD, and now we get the Camille to face off against Gnar. Seems like a recipe for UCI success.
Yeah, we saw Yang once again try to play one of the more meta picks, and we saw Captain Nuke counter that by picking the Camille, along with some help from his jungler in Youngbin. Yeah. He was able to pick him off like several times under tower, and then solo kill him eventually, I believe.
Just a lot of that happened.
Kind of ran him over.
Yeah, it was a pretty rough game. And especially, it felt like, on the side of Maryland, they just took too many volatile picks. Or not necessarily volatile, but picks that want attention. So you have Kaisa and Aurelia already locked in your first 2 rotations. And the Gnar blind against Captain Nuke, who's been doing a lot of very aggressive plays. It felt like a little bit of a volatile matchup because Gnar blindable does have his counter picks. And you're kind of opting into that when you play that against Captain Nuke.
I want to devil's advocate a little bit for the draft of UMD because Olaf's supposed to be winning the jungle matchup. He's the substantially better early lane. So if you can push all 3 lanes and Olaf has pressure on Trundle, that might be a way where you can play an early game style and just to defend it, right? Of course, they seem to be outclassed as players, outclassed as the team, so I think everything looks bad when your opponents are better than you, but I think there was logic to what they were doing. It was winning matchups in every single role, but it fell apart. Individual plays, of course, great. We have a replay roll of all the top lane shenanigans. It was, Captain Nuke is just freaking bonkers this series.
Yeah, Captain Nuke's, Camille was very impressive. The way he hung on the wall there in anticipation of the Gnar E and then timed that one perfectly was something he did a couple different times. And then once they got that lead, like the Gnar Camille matchup's not supposed to go bad for the Gnar till post 6 and usually like an item or something like that. And it doesn't really get bad till about 2 items. And this went pretty south at about 5 minutes in the game. So he just kept getting bullied once Youngbin knew that this lane was basically blown open. He could go up there whenever he wanted and continue to find kills. And like we said, the rest of the map, which is usually going to want their jungler's attention, is suddenly going to need Wezzy up there. Yeah. And even then, you're probably not going to win that 2v2.
Yeah, and something else I'd like to touch on was Quirk was actually taken off Taric this game, whereas usually in the previous game and in other games I've seen him play him, especially in the Big Ten, his Taric was particularly impressive to me. His Morgana, he wasn't able to do a whole lot, and I consider Morgana a pretty hard counter to Rakan. And I think they went even in the bot lane, so maybe he needs to go on something he's more comfortable on or try to pick up that Taric earlier so it doesn't get second phase banned. They just have to change something up where they're more comfortable and are able to team fight a little better.
Yeah, it's like you play those like Morgana, Nunu tops, whatever. Like something to like nullify what seems to be a player advantage. Like find some way to go equal to some degree. And as you mentioned, like get the Taric, something priority that you can win through somewhere else on the map.
Yeah, and I think for Wezzy's part, he's mostly been pretty good. He showed up in a couple of those mid lane ganks, and it's one of those things where if you're looking at that and you're saying, well, our top lane is suddenly not 0-3 10 minutes in the game. Our bot lane, yes, not doing as well as they maybe should in that matchup, or at least relatively even. And then if you can start playing around mid lane and some stuff like that, maybe you can start working in your favor.
Right, we saw like their bot lane looked very good before. For example, the Kog'Maw performances from yesterday were really solid, and maybe they can have that work again. Because we saw like in game 1, they were like able to win team fights sometimes. Other thing we wanted to run though is a quick replay roll of the team fight that basically won the game. Nuke once again right here, and just quick interrupt. No killer instinct for you. Gets the first kill that way.
Yeah, it's those kinds of plays that are so impressive when you are able to clearly anticipate what the other player wants to do and set yourself up to interrupt it. And then after that, the enemy team's primary damage threat is down, so it's mostly chasing down the stragglers after this, and that gets them their bear and effectively closes out the game here.
Yeah, and that kind of play just shows that he's at a slightly higher level. He's thinking one step ahead, and he's kind of got the enemy team's number. So really well played from Captain Nuke this entire game, and we'll see if he's able to carry it on into the next game.
Oh god, the damage numbers.
Yeah, that's not pretty.
Yeah, out-damage the other carries in your role. That is some rough stuff. And even then, like the Gnar did some damage, but some of that's expected Gnar versus melee in a top lane matchup. But yeah, this is, as we heard the cast talk about, this feels like a large amount of sort of player outclassing.
And the tough thing is too, I'm pretty sure here, hopefully Maryland, they have side selection, I believe, so they
UCI does again.
No,
UCI does?
They picked red, by the way. UCI's on red, so they get counterpicked.
Yeah, so I was trying to find something, but no, if they choose to go back to red, which I think we can both all kind of assume that's going to happen. Yeah.
Seems they're comfortable with trying to get those double counter picks that you get from inherently picking red side, so.
Yeah, and if that's the case, like you have to hope Yang has something prepared that's just weird, still pretty safe, like the Nunu, and then hopefully Captain Nuke doesn't have something prepared.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know how many people practice Nunu counter picks. I know I haven't, and I
we were trying to think of some earlier, of something that could beat Nunu, push it. I think Karma was the most ideal one, but even then it's like, is Karma that useful later on?
Yeah, when he's sort of been carrying and you're like, okay, well, Karma Nunu is not the most volatile matchup, so that's maybe okay.
Yeah, that might be ideal for them, actually.
I'm sure there's someone who's like, no, dude, my fiddle top smashes Nunu, trust me, and like, I don't think anyone knows fiddle top aside from you, dog. Either way, it's time to see if Maryland can begin the reverse sweep or if UCI will earn their spot against Columbia College in the finals. Meet us back here for game 3.
Now, listen, I hate this because the song ends up stuck in my head all day when we sing it.
Dude, this song's gonna be stuck in my head all laning phase, and that's okay.
If they can pull it off, that is gonna put him insanely behind.
Youngbin's level 4, so he's actually pretty strong on this Trundle. Good hop. Oh no! Interrupted, I think, by the hook shot.
Go for cast, just go for cast! Cast!
Okay, hold up. Morgana, stopwatch. Kill Morgana. I'm exhausted. Nice.
Oh, Nuke is locked down already. Kai's trying to dodge out of the way with the supercharger, but no chance at all. 1 for 1. Fight continues. Lightman in, gets aggressive, flashes through. Cassio grabbing the double. Everyone's taking the kills away from Lucian, but that's enough. 4 dead on the side of UMD, and the bases are going to be shattered.